get along in an odd, weird way or talk to Republicans almost easier than Democrats these days. Democrats have been extraordinarily aggravating to me, whether it's the level of hypocrisy and looking at certain things and not caring about it when they were taking place under one administration, but caring about them greatly under another. Whether it's trying to impeach Donald Trump for a tweet, whether it's trying to impeach him for a conspiracy theory, when the real world issues that plague me and my family and the people that I know and the people that look like me far more greatly and far more pressing. It is aggravating to me. MSNBC, to some degree, epitomizes that. And let me say it this way. The people who they've been putting on have, for the most part, been gaslighting in order to push people into a particular direction in regards to a candidate. Fair enough. And maybe to some degree, I expected it, but I didn't expect it to be this brazen and ham-handed. Like, it's over the top. And it's over the top in a way that comes across as a certain degree of desperate. Before I continue, though, I want to apologize. I missed the last Super Chats. The reason I missed them is because I have a new computer. That new computer, for the most part, apparently, even though I saved the profile, is not necessarily picking up everything from the system itself. I apologize. I'm going to read those now. Obi Alfred. There are so many damn snakes in this primary, and we are asleep. Tulsi campaign is gaslighting on Medicare for all. Bernie staffers are propping up Warren. I have a video that I really want to do, Obi-Wan, on... And you know what? Let's flip to the other side first. MSNBC has given all notion of journalistic integrity, thrown it overboard in this ham-handed attacks on Sanders. I'm going to read the Super Chats on the other side, but first, welcome to an early morning, a little bit messy soapbox. Come on, flip it. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you dig this content, you find yourself coming back often, please like, share, subscribe. And if you really would like to help the show, you can always support through PayPal or Patreon or Super Chats. And I promise I will look back at the screen until I fix my rig in order to catch all of them. Giovanna Lavana, I will send you a copy of the screenshot, and I know everyone in the chat agreed that he changed his site when I finally finished my own video series on Yang. Yeah, do. I mean, you have my email at the bottom, so definitely do. And I think I remember the video being referenced. Yeah, if either way, I can go back and check the video being referenced. Kotoshi Nakamoto, please check your toxic masculine energy, bro. Oh, my toxic masculine energy. It just comes off in waves. I can't help it. Just, yeah. I can't help it, man. I'm sorry. So, I did a video maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago. Now, in the video that I did like 3 or 4 minutes ago, I showed a woman who was attacking Bernie Sanders in a really hostile female energy. Let's go there. Talking about a hostile masculine energy. What about a hostile feminine energy? And one that is not going down well. Now, she's about to say something that is atrocious, but I'm going to give her a space.
All of those support, I actually overheard someone saying that I thought was an interesting point, that basically at this point, if you are still supporting Sanders as opposed to Warren, it's kind of showing your sexism because she has more detailed plans and her plans have evolved. I thought it was an interesting point, and I think there may be something to it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you're an idiot, personally. I'm just saying.
I agree with all that.
It's a good answer.
You know,
and then the idiots that's sitting right there says, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with all of that. You agree that if a person is supporting Sanders over Warren, that they are sexist. Now, think about what this means. This is a grossly identitarian argument that is sexist on its face because it's just nonsense. It's ludicrous. And yet they'll say it. And the two lemmings lapping it up, knowing where their paychecks are coming from, agree completely. That's astonishing. That is outright astonishing. Now, interesting question. Who is the messenger? Who is the messenger, right? Who is this woman that's saying those nasty things? Who is this person? Now, if you're not really paying attention, you never really look further than the exterior, especially if you're a Rachel Maddow, MSNBC supporter. For the most part, you're just looking directly at what's taking place. Somebody's feeding you information, and you go out and you talk to other people and infect them people with this nonsense. Emily Tish Sussman. Who is Emily Tish Sussman? I will tell you who Emily Tish Sussman is, because MSNBC didn't tell you as they put this person on. She's daughter of Donald Sussman, a hedge fund executive who gave $22 million of family money to Hillary Clinton in 2016. Wow. That's amazing. They bring on the daughter of a hedge fund manager that was a Hillary supporter to the tune of $22 million. They don't disclose that when they put her on the show. And they let her get on the show and literally say that if you're supporting Sanders, you're just sexist. Why? Because Elizabeth Warren has more detailed plans. And the funny part is, I just showed Elizabeth Warren not having a healthcare plan. People asking her, what are your healthcare plans? What are your healthcare plans? And she likes to float above it all, say, I agree with all of these plans. There are all sorts of plans I agree with. I mean, so, don't try to hold me down to one man, one thing, man. I just kind of want to be everywhere. Yeah, that's not really anything. That's not really detail or anything else. And so if Medicare for All is my litmus test, I'm supporting Sanders. And you're trying to say I'm sexist because I'm supporting Sanders because your candidate is untrustworthy? Not so much. And we find out that, it's not just that Sanders has a penis. It's also that she's corrupt. And MSNBC is a shitty network. That's what it boils down to. It's a propaganda outlet for the Democratic Party. And she powered, or at the very least, Hillary Clinton powered by $22 million of her family's money. And MSNBC will put her up here to shill without even telling you who this woman is. That's astonishing. That is pathetic. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should be outright ashamed of themselves. And it's not that I believe they have any shame in this process, but Lord knows that is horrendous. Marcus Will, we all know the DNC is going to cheat Bernie in favor of Warren, so how can we have a million grassroots Bernie bros while Bernie maintain his friendship? Marcus, I agree with you on that. You have my agreement. Warren needs to be vetted vigorously. The question becomes, how does Sanders do it without losing those people and pissing those people off? You must understand, there are a lot of people in the Democratic Party that believe it is her turn, meaning a woman, and they don't necessarily care all that much entirely about the policies. Even though for Warren, they would say, okay, she's far enough to the left, fair enough. Let's ride on. Hillary, Warren, who cares? Let's ride on. It's her turn. Now, I'm sympathetic to them because there's been a black president, and me in my identitarian phase, in my unconscious phase, I would say, if Sanders ran, I think in 2012, I probably would have voted for Sanders. But before I got to that point, I was in that spot of, oh, this guy, because of his identity, somehow represents me. And then I woke up and I was like, oh, that's nonsense. And you need to pick people based on their policies, not based on their false things like identity. Class matters a hell of a lot more, especially from the standpoint of the things that are going to help the bottom 99%. But Warren can't be trusted. I'm sorry, Warren can't be trusted. And while it's true that I don't necessarily trust the DNC, I mean, after all, they say they can cheat in a smoke-filled room. I expected MSNBC to do what they did in 2016, right? To try to essentially support Clinton whole hog. Clinton is tight with Warren, and they talk and interact with one another. So, in that particular association, Warren didn't even want people to know that that association was taking place. However, what Warren knows is that Clinton has access to people like this, seeing as people like this gave Clinton $20 million in 2016. I'm talking about her dad, but still her family. I hope you get my point. Warren has an association with Clinton. Warren didn't necessarily want to bring that up to light. Clinton has access to cash, which Warren will take all sorts of when she gets out of the election, but also propaganda arm in the sense of the DNC. If you believe that Hillary Clinton does not have power and pull within the Democratic Party establishment, you are insane. And having people like this, who again loved Clinton so much that her family gave her $20 million, gets people like this to get on TV and say absolute slanderous nonsense and have the other two lemmings lapping it up afterwards. That's amazing. They just slander the man. And they think it's the funniest thing on the planet. This network sucks. I hope when I do these videos, it gets across how shameless and how just vile of a propaganda outlet that these guys are, and in no way should be trusted. Just saying. Just wanted to point that out. That's all. But I agree with you that the friendship between Warren and Sanders in this case, especially in the debates, has come to an end at some point. And my fear is that right now Warren's support is shaky. I mean, it's like a nebulous 30% of people who say, we could flip. Where Sanders' support is pretty solid. My concern is that it gets crystallized, that people get this notion that she's somehow a one-to-one or similar enough to Sanders, that she's a different or that they're almost the same, or it's close enough. That needs to be destroyed. And that needs to be destroyed on various issues where you could show a delineation between who he is versus who she is. And I would even argue, get across to some degree, that she is not to be trusted on a whole host of issues. I mean, even this notion of not taking money in the primaries, but taking it in the general, as if she's somehow tarnished by it in the primaries, but somehow she's spotless in the general, is the weirdest thing in the world that people accept. That they rigged it, they didn't rig it, the Standing Rock. Like, it's a whole host of issues where you could point to that Warren has just been flagrantly untrustworthy. And the Medicare for All thing is just one in another row of these things. But yeah, they do need to somehow break that, like make a delineation, but you can't do it in a way. At the very least, Sanders can't directly do it in a way that tarnishes him of getting her supporters. And if it gets to the point where it's a scorched earth thing, where it's like, well, fuck it, if I need to put a knife in her, I need to put a knife in her, he'll never do that. He's not that person. And I have to be honest, that has always concerned me about Sanders. Because if you are not that person, Ned Stark's got his head chopped off. I understand that you want to run a clean campaign and everything else. Fair enough. But every campaign needs his Batman. I honestly believe that. Section 31. But what do I know? What do I know? All right. I know I'm going through these rather quick. But this wasn't one that I intended. And when I saw the other super chats, I wanted to get one out so I can at the very least read off the other ones that I missed. So, like, share, subscribe. Thanks all. I'll see you in a few.